Well, you know what? Welcome to the podcast, Crucial
Mm.
Combo. First off, I want to make sure I don't forget all the ones we lost, man. I should have said it last week. Rest in peace, Frankie Beverly.
Mm.
He's like my favorite,
Yeah.
one of my
Yes.
like my favorite singers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yes, I
saying? Like
remember you used to play that song incessantly.
I used to play all his stuff. I
Oh my
mean, you
God,
can't
I
tell
used to
me
want to
I could
strangle
sing
you.
like
It's
Frankie Beverly.
like,
I could sing like Frankie Beverly when I'm by myself.
Okay.
maybe when
No
you've
one's
had a little
listening.
bit much to drink. I don't know. Ooh-wee.
What about John Amos?
John
Rest in
Amos.
peace to
Yeah.
John
Oh yeah.
Amos.
Yes.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Fat Man Scoop.
Fat
Fat
Man
Yeah.
Man Scoop.
Scoop,
He's
James Earl
dropping like
Jones.
flies.
Yes.
Denzel Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
passed
Wait, who?
recently,
Mm.
and I feel like
Oh,
I'm
James Earl
forgetting
Jones.
somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a few more.
Yeah. It was just back to
Shit,
back. Like.
name a rapper for goodness sake. Every time you turn on the internet, some rap, no,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
somebody's OD'd or got
Rich
shot.
Homie Quan.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's who I'm
Yeah.
forgetting. Rich Homie Quan. Yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah.
too bad too, because he was pretty young. He's only like 30, bit early
34?
30s.
'Thirty-four.
33
I
or
know.
34. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's. Ugh, it's just terrible.
Well, we here tonight to talk
Mm-hmm.
about these things y'all be doing to y'all bodies. What's going on?
I don't know about y'all, but
Well,
Not to
that's what I
y'all.
said earlier. Like, not me.
Right. Other
Y'all is
Not
people.
crazy.
me.
What's wrong with y'all species, man?
Mm-mm.
Oh, if you want to go there, we could go there. Okay.
No, not y'all personally, but just y'all other women's. So
Mm-hmm.
the whole BBL thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing I wanted to just touch base on was like, where do y'all think it started, right? Because in the '90s, early 2000s, I mean, there was always butt lifts and tummy tucks and all that. That's not new. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as black urban culture,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't seeing that a lot. Possibly, did Kim Kardashian start this? Did a non-black woman start this?
Mm.
As
You
far
know,
as
I think back to certain rappers who were up and coming in those days, and the type of videos that they would make and
Mm-hmm.
the clothes that they would wear obviously got a lot of airplay and a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
right,
And I kind of feel like it was one of those things that kind of just spread. One woman sees it, and then when they see the reaction of men from those videos and from that time,
Yeah.
as hip hop culture changed, for female hip hop culture changed,
Mm-hmm.
and the outfits became a lot more um, sex driven, and the
Mm-hmm.
content became a lot more sexual, and a lot of the dances and things like that became more sexual. Of course, you're looking for that reaction from men. And when they want to be popular, oh, then I need to look like Nicki Minaj. I need to have a butt like that, or I need to have a butt like so and so, or this person or that person, in order to become popular. Because of course, when one artist becomes popular, now you got 50 million clones.
back in the '90s, I think I had mentioned like Adina Howard. You know what I'm saying? Like she
Right,
had
right.
bent over, had that butt, and that was one of the album covers that I remember from the '90s. But in
Mm-hmm.
the '90s, I mean, a normal nice butt. I mean, that's not
Natural
something that
beauty
is
was
abnormal.
Naturally.
What'd you say,
Mm-hmm.
Malik?
Yep.
natural beauty was
Yeah,
reigning supreme. Like it, you didn't have to
Right.
have all the extra enhancements, even if if you weren't naturally blessed with it. It was
Mm-hmm.
just a simpler time period.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
well, that's a good
Very.
point.
Yeah.
Proportion, see proportion,
Mhm.
the butt proportion, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was never like as a man, I'm never like, oh, who has the biggest butt? It was really
Mm-hmm.
just a nice butt for the proportion of their body.
Right.
And
Yeah.
at some point, things started to get crazy.
That
Yeah.
that
Um,
BBL
Yeah.
shape became the standard of beauty somehow, and women started
Yeah.
taking
and
that
it
as
got
the standard and starting wanting to. That's why they flocked out to go. Everybody go and got that same shape because they thought that's what we wanted. The problem is we might have wanted it, but we
Mm-hmm.
ain't really want it for the right reasons. Like we wanted it, you know what I mean? Because that's just let's keep it a buck. Like it looked good, we can smash, but ain't nobody really trying to like make long term life
Wipe
decisions
it.
based off of BBL. You know what I mean? That's we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that. So they went out and ran out for the wrong reasons. It was not what we really wanted for ourselves. It was kind of,
Mhm.
we like to look at it, and then a lot of women became like, "Hey, let's go do it," and they made it easier for
Yeah.
those dudes because it's like now we just smash and
Yeah.
dash. So
And
Well, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
there seems to be some
What?
type
What?
of a, I'm so sorry.
No, 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 no. Please go ahead.
It seems to be some type of like attachment with like money making and the BBL
Yes,
community,
Mm-hmm.
like social media,
yes.
nightlife, bottle
Mm-hmm.
girls, strippers, all of that. It's kind of like women may say, I'm not doing it for the opposite sex, but it's my money maker because when I get that, it gets me the
Mm-hmm.
bag quicker.
yeah,
Now,
Mm-hmm.
Right,
it's not to say again,
right.
it's not to say the man's gonna wife you, but it's like you
Mm-hmm.
get the perks, I guess. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It seems, or
Mm-hmm.
just from what I hear,
Yeah.
from knowing individuals that have it or just talk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Hmm.
Yeah.
totally
That's
agree
wait.
with that.
I wanna say something, but
Mm-hmm.
G, you rock, and then I want to say something because
Okay.
Malika brought up something really interesting that I forgot about. But go ahead. You was gonna say
Um,
something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add into this, like back when you guys were talking about the natural shapes and all that was in the 90s, like that was the thing. But I think like when we started to get the video vixens and they just had these bodacious bodies, and then the whole strip club atmosphere was tied into hip hop in these videos. I think that triggered, a lot of women like, okay, I need to step it up, because that's what the guys like you guys said, like the money makers that was making them money. They were getting hired and rehired for everything. You saw the same vixens all, and you're just like, oh no, you know what I mean? So I think that kind of
Mm-hmm.
played a part in that, just
Absolutely, I
blowing up.
agree.
I don't necessarily think it was Kim. I think she saw all that too, and then she got whatever
You
she
say
needed
Kim?
done. Kim
Card.
Kardashian.
Oh, Kim
Mm-hmm.
Card. Oh, I thought you were
Yeah,
talking about Lil
but
Kim
I
for a
think it
second.
started from that. That's what I think.
Hmm.
And then it just got out of
and
control.
then social
Like
media
now
happened,
Well,
it's
and then my thing
hmm
is, at some point it left that environment and like
Mhm.
So it was more
started shifting
regular.
Yeah,
to regular
yeah,
everyday people,
Right.
and they
right.
that's
somehow confused that with
precisely
being what the standard of actual beauty is, and we wanted that, and
Mhm.
that's not what we necessarily wanted from every
Mhm.
person. Well, you know what I mean?
right.
Like, it was cool in the
No,
strip
you
club.
Mhm.
I don't
you
want to see it
spot,
at the
Mhm.
pharmacy. You know what I'm saying?
bro.
Right,
You are so spot on because that's
right,
literally what I was about to say. That's
You know what I'm
right.
exactly
saying?
what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like it left that environment and became
Yeah.
now all women want to be mainstream
Yeah.
stripper looking,
Mhm.
and it
Yeah,
became crazy.
But you know
You
what I
know.
yeah.
can say? That the way of the world and society is just so different today. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, like people
Mhm.
are making money in different like people just
Mhm.
feel like they can get it right in any way that they
Mhm.
want to. It's not so taboo as before. Even stripping, I feel
Yeah.
like strippers back in the day were maybe more hush hush, or now it's just like you
Right.
have
Mhm.
YouTubers
Yeah.
having vlogs like my
Yes.
night, you know what I mean? A day in the life of a
Right.
stripper. This is my da, 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 blah blah blah. This is how you
Yeah.
do
But
it. So I feel like it's just became so, and then social media too, so that we're like
Mhm.
shifting more into like current, but
Mm.
Mhm.
I feel the grass isn't always greener, and I feel like a lot of people, it could be self-esteem, but then it also could be I feel like it's tied into a lot of
I
different
think it is
things,
a lot of
and
this
I
stuff is
do
thing.
feel like
Mhm.
yeah, it's a quick fix thing instead of getting in the gym because you can build your body in the gym. You
Mhm.
know, I feel like
Mhm.
a lot of people just aren't. I know this is controversial, but it's just want to do things the quick way.
That's
Right.
not
Yeah.
controversial. That's
Yeah.
just true.
Like
Yeah.
I
That's
get it when
just
you
the truth.
work in
Mhm.
that type of field, when you're a stripper or you got a only. I get it. If get it how you live,
Mhm.
but why does the girl at FedEx need it? You know what I mean? Like, who are you doing that for?
You don't know what
You know
she's
what I'm
doing at
saying?
night, though.
That's not your career.
Maybe
Yeah.
she
What
got
are
a
you
side
doing?
hustle.
So, but I think it
Maybe
ties
she
into
got a
self
side
esteem. That's
hustle.
like you just said. It's a self esteem issue for a lot of people. I think.
Mhm.
Some people, I guess, when you see that, and I'm just speculating, but I'm assuming that seeing that as like in the videos and on TV, people get self conscious about
Mhm.
their own body, and so now they see,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
this is maybe I'll go out and enhance this, or you know, add to that, and it's just it's kind of unnecessary, but I
Yeah.
guess it does tie back to self esteem a lot too.
Oh,
Mhm.
Also,
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to
Yeah.
cut anyone off. Okay, so for example, I grew up in a family of really thick women. I was more so slender.
Mhm.
That played with my
Mhm.
self-esteem a bit. I did get into the gym to try to do it the natural way, but I could also
Mhm.
feel like a stigma in the black community. We want to be naturally like so
Yeah.
you want to be naturally, black people we want to be naturally curvaceous. So I feel like it's
Mhm.
that kind of it kind of maybe triggers something or it ties into just like, oh yeah, I'll be more loved, even though that's not the case, because I feel like your mind
Mhm.
above all will have you keep your suitable partner. It's not going to be your body. Like, yes, it's good to
Mhm.
play with, but eventually that doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make you more wittier.
Mhm.
It doesn't make you more likable. It doesn't make you,
Yeah.
so it's just like a
Yeah.
present with a shiny bow on top.
Yeah,
But after a while,
Mhm.
you get tired of playing with your toy. You know what I mean? So I feel like
Mhm.
you have to really build from within because
Mhm.
it's temporary, you
yeah,
know?
Right.
Yeah.
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 yeah. There's a certain segment of women who are working strictly on the physical,
Mhm.
and it's not that it's going to go away at some point, and they're not doing
Mhm.
anything internally. So you have a very good point
Yeah.
there. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you don't build that inner, when some, unfortunately, many women just don't come to that level of um, self awareness and wisdom
Mhm.
until either something bad happens, like they get an
Mhm.
infection or something goes wrong with it, or
Mhm.
you may not realize that until you get much older
Yeah.
and that booty is drooping, or
Mhm.
everything else is drooping and the booty sitting up like a
yeah,
cow.
Right.
You
yeah.
don't look good no more.
And then they getting
You
they
know,
getting
so,
it ain't even just
That's
that they're
true.
getting
like,
bad BBLs. Like
Yes.
Right.
like
Just to put it in perspective,
Okay.
where women have gotten to is actually pretty crazy. I mean, everybody on the panel, as far as females, are everyday normal people, women, and
Mhm.
haven't had BBLs. And I would say
Mhm.
probably most women haven't had them. But when you look at the women
Mhm.
who actually have, it's a little crazy. K. Michelle is probably a great example. Obviously, she's in um, hip hop community, R&B community,
Yeah.
black community, and the stuff that she went through is crazy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just mind-bogglingly crazy what
Mhm.
someone will put themselves through. And it's
Yeah.
strange because as a man, we're not even on it like that. We don't even make our decisions about who we want to be with. It's not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
right.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like, before I play this video, I'll liken it to this as a man.
Mhm.
If you went and got a penis enlargement, and you got your dick to be 14 inches long, like,
Mhm.
that's the level of sickness it is if you parallel it to men, that we
Yeah.
want our dick to be that long, and the women are like, I'm not even thinking about that. I don't even
Mhm.
want to be with somebody that. But if men think like that, and it
Mhm.
just becomes
Yeah,
crazy, you have this level of body parts that's just freakishly strange. You know what I'm saying? So,
but can I
not to
say something
Yeah.
mention,
real quick to
huh?
can I say something real quick to your point though? You said that men are not even thinking that way. We're not. Y'all don't even think it's that serious. You're not making any life decisions based on that.
Hmm.
But the problem is that there are a lot of men leading women to believe that if they look that way, then they will. Oh well, I'm looking for a woman who looks like this.
Mhm.
I've watched a lot of dating shows, right? And I've heard
Listen,
a lot
no,
of
no, no,
men.
I'm letting you ride. I'm looking at B, and he's
I
making the
know,
same face.
I see that face,
No,
and I'm not. Look,
we
I'm
want
not
to we
saying.
want to have that argument. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this show. We want to have that
I'm just
argument. Go
saying.
ahead.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying all men do
hmm
this, but
Uh-huh.
there is definitely a population of men who mislead women into thinking that I want a wife or a girlfriend who looks a certain way. And
Mhm.
a lot of men, and these men, these are probably not the best men, right? But they go on
Mhm.
these reality shows, and when they start describing what they're looking for in their future wife,
Mhm.
they one of the first things they talk about
That's true.
is their physical
I
attributes.
mean,
What they want their wife to look like. Yeah, I want my wife to look like a model. First of all, she got to look like a model. First of all, she got to look like this. She got to look like that. And they don't even talk about any of the other important attributes in a
mm-hmm.
life
Okay.
partner. Okay, so
Yeah.
I feel like these type of things and these type of men out there
Mm-hmm.
tend to perpetuate these ideas. And like I said, these are not the best men. These are not the pillars of society
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. And a lot of people who buy into urban pop culture ideas like this, a lot of times they may not be the most mature or have other
Mm-hmm.
things going on. So it's a cause and effect. One side moves the needle, the other side moves the needle a little bit further. So both of those sides. So even though there are men, good, decent men, who may
Mm-hmm.
not make their decisions based on a big booty, you have another faction of men who are out there, the flashy, the playboys, who give these women who may be naive, obviously, the idea that they need to look a certain way in order to get this
Whose fault
attention.
is that?
And they feel like they
Twin,
need to look a certain way in
you,
order to get the
I,
attention
I,
for
I'm gonna,
money purposes.
I'm gonna let you spread this malarkey for right now. I'm not
Oh
gonna, I'm not
no,
gonna,
Oh,
it
that's
was
Wait,
I'm not
hold
funny.
on.
very
gonna
Wait a
well
minute, wait a
even,
said.
minute.
Malarkey?
Whose fault is that?
I'm not even gonna dispute it yet.
Malarkey? Are you
Let me,
Oh
serious?
my God.
Right now, twin? Are you serious right now? That's not
nah,
malarkey. That's
okay, it's
true.
partial. It's partial malarkey.
Well,
Partial, at least partial
Oh
I
my
malarkey.
feel like
God.
the
But
problem
but
is
B,
like,
let me
Hold on, Gina Rose, Malika.
Yes.
Yeah.
well let me
Did what
play.
I say make any sense to you?
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Let
It
me
was very well said. Very, you don't even have to
Very.
play
Okay,
devil's
thank you.
advocate because
let
just
me
like we,
let me play
Okay,
that video for
okay,
y'all real quick
okay.
though. Real quick. I want to play this video.
According to the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, the Brazilian butt lift is one of the fastest growing surgeries with an expected 61% increase over the next 5 years. But listen to this, it has a death rate of 1 in 3,000. And that might not seem like a high number, but some doctors say this is way too risky. Joining me now is Dr. Anthony Yoon. He's a holistic plastic surgeon and he's based in Troy, Michigan. Good to see you, doctor. Explain to us why this procedure is so risky.
Yeah, there was an interesting study that came out several years ago that showed that the death rate with this operation, the BBL, where you would take fat from one part of the body and inject it into the buttocks, was 1 in 3,000. And we believe it's due to fat emboli, where if you inject fat into the deep muscles of the buttocks, that fat can actually pass into veins and blood vessels. It can go to the heart and lungs. People can die almost instantly from it. Excuse me.
Do you have a car and do you have a clean driving record? Did you know you could pay?
Oh, that's very serious, and people don't realize that. You take a holistic approach, though. Is that different than traditional surgery?
So yeah, there's a lot of other ways that you can enhance the buttocks. Now, the first thing is that this study came out a few years ago, and there have been some changes to the techniques. And so, for those people who are interested in this operation, it's the only way to really enhance the buttocks in a major fashion. But you can do it safely if the fat is injected not into those muscles, but into the subcutaneous fat of the buttocks. And that can be done if the doctor is using the right technique. And most plastic surgeons now, they know the technique well. The problem is that people who aren't plastic surgeons, doctors who are performing this operation, who are
Mm-hmm.
actually real plastic surgeons, may not know this, and that could be very, very dangerous.
Absolutely. Now, doctor, why do you think this surgery is becoming so popular?
Well, I think it's just kind of the culture, the zeitgeist. You know, the buttocks are a very popular part of the body over the last several years. I think the Kardashians had something to do with it, and a lot of the entertainers. And so this is a part of the body that is so focused on. It's all over social media, and there are doctors who are performing these operations on social media and promoting them and making it look like it's super, super easy to have done.
Just to give some perspective as to what's happening because you know even if you're doing it correctly, that injection can go through through a vein and you could have a stroke. And from what I'm reading with a lot of stories, that's what's happened to a lot of women. They've actually had strokes from getting these surgeries. But back to Twin's point when we were talking about okay, you know what? Let's do it like this. B, before you respond, let Malika and B talk as far as Twin's point. I'm not saying it's all malarkey. It's part of it's true. I give you that for sure. But as far as men's influence um of women, what do y'all think about that?
I agree. I think the key word that you said was the misleading part. You know, sadly, a lot of people were not brought up. I'm not saying this is it's just the reality of it. A lot of people were not built up, taught how to just all those things, and that it's more than just your body, and that the right partner will love you for you. You know, it's more so. And then let's talk about social media's influence. Even when you could be the toughest cookie and just catch yourself like, whether it's an ad, whether it's just like just watching, and we're so much on our phones, and people of course are not put in their real lives, so they're just, that's one snippet of a, made up, you don't know what's going on for real, but you're seeing happiness, quote unquote. So I feel like, yes, I do
Right.
believe that men's
Mhm.
influence has definitely had an impact on that. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. What
Um,
you think,
I
D?
I agree with my ladies because that's what a lot of guys say. Physical first. Guys are natural lookers. Like it's all
Sure.
about what they see right in front of them.
Hmm.
Most of the time. And it's like, okay, yes, once they get to know someone, their personality, that's a whole different story. But they're looking at that, and that's what caused
Absolutely.
all these women to go out, get these backdoor BBLs. Risking their life, like just to look a certain way, and just like said earlier, y'all said just to get the attention. That attention from the men is just like,
Hmm.
it's doing something for the self-esteem of certain women, and it's
Hmm.
terrible. And the crazy thing about it now is guys are saying what, like B said earlier, we like, we just like women for women, right? For who you are. And now women are trying to reverse their BBLs. Like, what is going on? They're trying to take the stuff out because guys don't even,
Because
want it
because
all the time. Like, what's happening?
it's it's seeking attention, but the wrong attention. So it
Mm-hmm.
to what
No,
y'all
Mm-hmm.
said
I gotta
earlier, like
disagree with that.
if dudes are
Wait,
leading with I want my
let me
wife to look a
rock. Let
certain
me
way,
rock for a minute.
that's a red flag. Like if your first thing is what you want from your partner is physical, that should tell that woman, hey, maybe this ain't the person to listen to. But
And a lot of
y'all saying
people,
that these are the people who
you make,
influence women to
and I know it
do
sounds like
what they're
common sense
doing
when you say it,
makes
and
no
sadly,
sense
a
to
lot of
me.
Better
people just don't.
attention.
Some people do anything for love, for real, just to feel loved, and some people just have not tapped into. I don't know, like it's sorry about
Mm-hmm.
that. Hmm.
Wait, can I let me offer something real quick, Twin, before you hop back in. So what I actually think, I do agree with y'all to an extent. What I think has happened with women is that women are competing with women.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
men have gotten, maybe it started with men as far as, feeling that influence, or that pressure from what men want. But I think it's
Mm-hmm.
gotten to the point where, now I'm saying this based on the BBLs, the pictures of the BBLs I see
Mm-hmm.
in person. Um, I mean, I was at Chipotle like 2 weeks ago. There was a woman, I know it was a BBL because it had the little
The
stick
ant body.
legs and the really
Oh my God.
big butt, and
The ant
she
body.
just looked strange. I'm like, yo,
Right.
you look
The
like an
ant body.
alien.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now I was
Goodness.
looking not like, oh, I really want to get with her. I'm just looking like, man, you look strange. You look like an alien, like something's weird. You know what I'm saying? And it's gotten to the point where women have gotten away even from what men think. I think women just, it's gotten to where they're like, okay, how big can I get it? They don't even care about the proportion or the safety. Um, Stories about women who are actually married, women who have a man already. You know what I'm saying? They have a man already. They're not track someone. They have a partner. I mean, mom, kids who've gone somewhere, got something done, and are dead. Like they're risking their life to inject something in there. And believe it or not, yeah, men do like it. I'm not saying men don't like it, but it's not that serious to men. It's more serious for women than it is for men. Men really don't care. We really don't care like that, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Well, okay, let me. I don't think that it's all women who obviously feel like this, and I don't think that it's all men who are perpetuating this. Women have been competing with other women for
That's
centuries
right.
Forever,
for
yeah.
a man's attention. I mean that in the black culture, you know, that is something that women do. I have been out with my baby daddy in the past, and we with the family. You, your man, and two children. But you have women who are so desperate for the attention of someone that they want to, or they see a man and think, oh, he must be he's out with his family. He must be a good family man. Okay, let me. If he's treating her like that, well, then maybe he'll treat me like that. So they will try to get your man's attention with you sitting there. So women have been competing for that type of stuff ever and ever and ever.
But what that got
But
to do with you putting some? What that got to do with you putting some concrete in your ass?
that is a small percentage of women who, honestly, to me, I feel just have some psychological issues, because if you are willing to risk your life, then something else is going on there. Something else is wrong, because this is about way more than looks. This is about some sort of dysfunction, some uh, what dysmorphia that
Yeah.
you have going on. Something, something else is wrong there, because no person in their right mind, okay, who has at least a good baseline self esteem is going to take that risk. You know,
Well,
I,
I got to play devil's advocate on that, right? So there are decent, healthy BBLs, and then there's the crazy, dangerous ones. But
mhm,
what I would say is that I think something that also has influenced it also too is that it's become cheaper. So I think in urban culture now, my perception of it is back in the day, like plastic surgeries were something that was more for richer people, tummy tucks and eye this and tongue cut
Right.
this and cut that. It was more for people who had money and they would do that. And then it became like for the urban culture, it became something where it's like, yo, you can go get a butt lift for 5 grand and 2 grand and all this stuff. And then, obviously with social
well, the people
media.
that are spending that kind of money are not getting a good product, though,
Well, no,
either.
I agree. I agree. I'm just saying that
But you
it's
can't tell
become
them
more
that.
accessible.
They don't care. They just want
And,
to go do
and
it.
yeah, until
And that's how
something
you get
goes
the
wrong.
antibodies. Because they don't give a shit.
Until
Well, that's what
something
I'm
goes
saying.
wrong.
The antibodies, when you look at the proportion of how women are looking, to me, that's more of a signal of we've gotten away from what men like versus I'm just gonna get as much as I can
But that's
with my
that's the
5 grand.
esteem. An esteem issue. Because you're right.
And I feel like that.
It's not so much about what men like. It's like them ant body people just want a big butt. It ain't. You know what I mean? That's all you want. But
Well, then that, to me, that goes back to the dysmorphia, because if you can look at that in the mirror and think, oh, that's not big enough, and you're just getting bigger and bigger, like you're blowing up a balloon, and now you as big as a junkyard dog. I mean, something is wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Something's
Well, let me
wrong.
let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask the women a question. If y'all could get from a top world class surgeon, if you could get a BBL for free, would you do it? Would you try it?
Nothing wrong with my booty.
No,
I'm happy. I'm happy with what I got. So
no.
no,
You know what's so funny? So being an artist and being more on the slender side, it's like I feel like if I wanted to, I could have been had that. I'm the type of person if I wanted, I go get it. So I know if that was in my scope, that would have happened. And I was just never interested. What I did though, I hired a trainer, I got on my meal plan, and we worked to so I can get to where I want to get to. So I feel like even if it was free, it's just not my thing.
yeah,
It's just not my thing.
I always thought it looked disgusting. So I was just like,
Yeah, yeah. It's Hmm.
And then the upkeep.
You said the upkeep.
The upkeep. You
What's the
can't just
upkeep?
get that. You have to get massages. It's not just a one and done thing. And then God
And there's a lot
forbid you
that
don't
goes
have
into it.
money in your pockets and let's say something goes wrong. Like I know Dream Doll, she this girl went and said recently, oh, she wants to get it removed because now being slim is on trend. So now you have people saying
So
that
that's a
BBLs were
problem.
just on trend. So now just, you know what I mean? Now she wants to
Yeah.
take it out because being slim is now on trend. And she had complications as well. So if you don't have money in your pockets to now go back, get it removed, like K Michelle, like you mentioned, how many times she had to go back? You're asked out,
I'm
literally.
gonna play.
If
I'm
you,
gonna play her video.
yeah.
What when I saw her interview on Tamron Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously she's doing that new show. I forgot what it's called, but it's
Botched or something, or
I think it's plastic surgery nightmares or
mm,
something like
something like
something
that.
similar to
Basically,
that.
she's advocating against it now. But when
Mhm.
I'm gonna play her interview, I didn't know. I knew she was tapped into the whole BBL and surgery thing, and then I know that she had gotten stuff removed. But when I listened to what she actually went through, I was like, man, it's and she's not the only one. You know what I'm saying? So what she actually went through was crazy.
The truth of the matter is that you felt, as I understand, a certain amount of pressure to transform yourself in the music industry. Your voice speaks for itself. It is the voice. You wanted to have a different appearance.
Before I even listened to this, I had this perception of how I should look, what it was supposed to be. So before my first record deal, I was determined, oh, I need to get my teeth done, and oh, I need a bigger butt, and all of this. I was already super curvy and had a butt. I just looked at certain people and felt like I needed more. So I was able to find a person and, a known person within the music industry that a lot of my favorites had used for these silicone injections. So for me, it was just part of the package of getting into the industry. So I never thought about any consequences. I never heard of any consequences. So I did it, and years passed. Like, I didn't have any health issues that I knew of until probably about 7 or 8 years later.
What did you start to see?
Well, I know one day when I woke up, my legs gave out and I couldn't walk. And everyone was running me to a hospital everywhere. They was like, she's perfectly healthy. Nothing's wrong with her. So I eventually took an MRI of my body and my bottom and everything like that. And they saw a foreign substance within my body. And you could actually see it on the MRI. So I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly what that is. So that's when the journey started to get this out of my body. Some doctors felt like, leave it alone because we don't know what to do. You know, some doctors didn't want to be bothered or touch it. They knew how difficult it was going to be. So for me, I didn't want to look up, and it just kept getting worse and worse,
Let me ask you what, while you were waiting to figure out what to do, I've heard people talk about migraines and then just feeling fatigued and the different things start to happen with their body. Did you, the person who did your surgery, as you understood it, was this by the book, or was this?
No, it was not. These are not legal. It doesn't matter where you go. These are not legal. For me, I thought I was doing it.
People will be shocked to hear, wait a minute, K Michelle, she's got a record deal, she's got some money, and she's going somewhere illegal.
And that's what it was. Like, it was the biggest of stars going to a particular person for this type of procedure. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go get this cheap procedure to myself.
Wow.
So from this MRI, I started the journey to become healthy and remove these things from my body.
K Michelle, after you realized that, okay, I have to attack this and I've got to get this out of my body, how long was it before you found a doctor that could treat you?
I found a doctor that could treat me who shouldn't treat me. And He somewhat made it worse
Wow.
because he allowed it, and you can't lipo this type of thing. And that's what doctors first wanted to do. Well, it's like motor oil. So once they turn into pellets. So once you bust those pellets, it's like free floating silicone in your body that's moving through your body, right? So I found a doctor that specialized in this, and it took me about 13 surgeries later in 3 years.
She
Crazy.
said, I looked at certain people and felt like I needed more. That is exactly what we're talking about. That's the, what I mean, it's the competing with other women. Like, if
Yeah,
you're
Mm.
already naturally
Yeah.
curvy and you looked at somebody like, I need to be, like, that's exactly what we're saying. So, there's,
And
Mm.
she's always been a pretty girl. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's not even like she was I don't remember what she looked like before, but she had a normal figure. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
it can get that crazy to the point where women can get so far in their head about
yeah.
these
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Yeah.
I don't know if men exacerbate that or women exacerbate that more
it
to each
might
other.
not necessarily be either
Mm.
one. A lot of times, and I'm gonna get
Well, it could be
psychological here
both.
for
Yeah,
a
that's
minute.
true.
Yeah, some
Okay.
men might do anything to make sure they have a certain type
Mm-hmm.
of vehicle, a certain type of look, right? Because they feel like in their minds, this is what success looks like. So
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad parallel.
if I have to mortgage everything, I have to go into debt and have all these
If I got to
loans.
live in mom's basement
Mm-hmm.
If I have
to drive that
exactly,
Lambo.
exactly,
Yeah.
then I'm going to do whatever it takes to have this look, this perception.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is how I want to appear. This is how I want to show the world that I am successful.
Like, wow, 13, what did you say, 13 operations? I didn't even know that part.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. And I know she's had multiple things done
Mm-hmm.
aside from like BBL, but it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
it
That's
is.
crazy.
It is.
and I
something to
remember
think about.
when she came out with her first single that actually dropped. I think it was this is when Men Pits and all that. This was like '07. I remember like the cover art. I remember her body. She
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, like she
Mm-hmm.
said, she had a shape.
Yep,
So
she did.
it's like you're doing it to
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You know what I mean? And then when you say they, if you it
Mm-hmm.
pops it, and then the silicone just goes through. How do you even find that in your body to like? Are you sitting there right? Is she still sitting there with silicone in her shoulder or something? It just traveled. Where's it going? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Scary,
just
man.
it's
True.
really not worth it. It's just you can't take
No.
it with you when you go. What are you gonna do? You know.
That's a good point, Twin, as far as the parallel to somebody
Mm-hmm.
who might be slinging drugs just to get a certain type of car or a look and is risking their life. I think that's a good
Mm-hmm.
parallel when you look at it for
I
a man.
think that's
Um,
why
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's for me, I have such a hard time wrapping my head around it because I've never been that kind of
mm,
person. Like
right.
I never cared what other people thought. You know what I mean? And like it just that
Mm-hmm.
To
I
that
just
extent.
never have. So I don't understand the thought process of
Yeah.
someone who does,
Mm-hmm.
and like they have to do something to seek the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just me. So maybe that's why it's a hard time for me to wrap my head around why.
I'm
So
saying that
another
the need
question.
for attention,
The
the
attention.
need
The
for
attention.
attention is normal,
No,
but
no,
not going to
I
those
agree with that.
extents
I
are
agree with the need for
right. But
attention.
I'm not saying that those
But
dysfunctional choices. I'm not trying to normalize that because that. My point is that is abnormal. That's the reason why I was saying that there's some sort of
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction there when people start going to these extremes to get attention. That's because of the
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction in their thinking and in their ways of processing. That is off. But the need for attention that people, that is understandable.
well, that part is understandable, but
Yeah.
the whole thing is that when you look at the women who are actually getting things injected in there, and you look at so when you take a look at some of their circumstances, I mean, we're talking about, like I said, there are a lot of women that are actually have a man, right? That actually
Hmm.
are married or have a boyfriend or whatever the case is, and it's
Mm-hmm.
become a situation where women are deciding to go do these surgeries, and the purpose isn't quite as clear, right? So I don't know if it's a need for attention. It could be that. I'm sure it's that as part of it, but it's also a need to feel good about yourself, which I
Right.
understand. But I say all that to
Mm-hmm.
say that, you can still garner attention walking into a room with no BBL. You know what I'm saying? With not a bigger booty. That's not necessarily going to get you more attention. I think that there's a lot of women that walk into a room that will garner attention regardless. So, you know what I'm saying? So I know it's in people's heads and I can't get in people's heads and people don't always think
Mm-hmm.
the same. I do understand that. But what I'm saying is that the the epidemic of everyday women going to do these things,
Mm-hmm.
going to DR, going to get a lift and ended up all like you said, Gina, they're on the plane, they can't sit down and a lot of the stuff is leaking or the butt is
Mm-hmm.
off, one side is off than the other. I mean, because remember, it used to be breast implants used to be the thing before butt implants. It really used to
Mm-hmm.
be getting your
That's
breast
true.
done was the thing to get bigger breasts. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like the white women, to my opinion, white women kind of kicked that off. They got their breasts done. That was the whole thing they did. They didn't worry about the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Then the butt
Mm-hmm.
wasn't popular back in the day. We made the butt
Right.
popular, in my opinion. Black people, we made it popular because our women naturally have it nine
We
out of ten.
naturally, yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
then it became okay. Now instead of the breast being a thing people talk about, now it's about getting a butt lift or injections or whatever have you. So my thing is that
Mm-hmm.
the everyday woman doing these things is something to really look at. And I don't know if it's for the attention of men. I think that's why I'm kind of harping on that point because I'm like, okay, where are these women's heads outside of the attention from men?
I mean, it's internal. You know what I mean? Like we said, you don't know what traumas or anything that people have gone through when they were younger is still affecting them today.
Right.
Like you just don't know. And even they might have a man, they might be married, and that man is praising them all the time, but still deep down inside, there's something there that's just not going away. And
Mm-hmm.
they feel that need. I need to do this. I need to do this to feel better or whatever. Like I think it's just really deep rooted in the internal, effects of trauma. I honestly do
Okay.
because it stays there, and people deal with trauma for years. Especially if you don't get any help or seek therapy or something, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to cause you to do some things that you probably shouldn't do
Yeah.
sometimes. So yeah, it's still there. It's still
So
always
part
going to
of
be
me,
there.
I hear you, but part of me is like,
Mm-hmm.
what trauma would make you think your butt's not big enough? Like, what happened to make you, you know what I mean? What was traumatic that caused you to say, "Hey, I need to get a bigger butt"? Like,
Being teased, growing up. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That sticks with you because it can come from not just people in school, your family. Your
yeah,
family saying things to you over the years. No, that
yeah,
sticks
I
with
know.
you. I'm a witness. I can attest to that myself
Listen, listen,
personally.
listen. See this gap
I've,
right here?
I've heard I've heard some very
I heard
hurtful
all kind
things.
of teasing. Listen, I've been the victim of all kind of teasing. I never said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and get this surgery, dog. I'm gonna go ahead and get this. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't teasing ain't never did that.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, but
If,
everyone deals with it in different ways.
well,
That's just my
yeah.
thing.
Well,
Everyone
okay.
deals in different
And
ways.
you in defense of Gina, yeah, you're right. Because girls take stuff more
I just
internally
learned
than
how to
guys.
roast
Like
better. That's what I
it's
did. I was like, okay, this what we gonna
yeah, we just learn
do.
how to roll. It take a lot
So
for a guy to be like, you know
we
what?
go,
I'm
all
gonna go
right.
get this chest. I'm gonna go get this pec implant because I'm tired of people saying I have a bird chest. I'm about to go
Yeah,
get
I'm gonna
this
get these pep
implant.
implants. Let me
You
go
know,
get these
I'm
calves
You
implants.
know what?
about to get these biceps up,
You know,
man. You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you.
it,
I'm
Look,
it
not.
takes a lot for
I'm
there are
not trying to
people.
make like. I hear what you're saying. I'm just, but
well, what's the
There.
difference between like so you have the BBLs, right? So what would be the difference
Mhm.
between that and people who doing other like getting addicted to plastic surgery? Like, would y'all compare the two? Because there are some people. I'm not talking about Michael Jackson. I'm gonna leave him out. People talk about him, but there are other people who
Mhm.
kind of get addicted to plastic surgery. I don't know if that was a Kanye West mom. I don't know if that's what happened with her, but I do know that she
Mhm.
had a certain amount of things done in a succession within a
Mhm.
couple of years. And there's always risk factors with that because your age, and
Hmm.
Right.
how close in succession you've had stuff done. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't
So I
know if
know what happened to her was could happen to anybody.
well no what how she died could happen to anybody, but what I'm saying is that from what I remember, and I could be wrong, but from what I remember at the time, they were saying that she had had a number of procedures done within
Mm-hmm.
that last year. So you start cutting on your body, and you don't know how your body's going to react because I know that she had the antibiotics or whatever. I know it may have been an issue with that, but you don't know how your body's going to react when you still have to take
Yeah, you
antibiotics after a
don't.
surgery. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
she may have had too many things going on, and
Yeah.
I guess my
Mm-hmm.
point is that when you start cutting on your body, I
Mm-hmm.
almost liken it to the BBL part because it's almost like even if someone's getting one BBL, um, the idea of wanting to change yourself around and the risk, sometimes I compare it to people who might do other procedures and like, okay, I'm going to get this, then I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get this. And it becomes like kind of an addiction to keep fixing, working on yourself. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to judge it. I'm saying people could get them, but I'm
I think
saying
it
Mm-hmm.
that,
just depends on what's there's so many factors that go into that. What's going on in your life at that time, what your doctors are saying. You may only need one or two procedures, but maybe it ends up extending into three or four because of medical issues. They can't do this at this time, so you have to do it later. I mean, it could seem like, oh, you're going cutting on yourself, getting addicted, having all of these different procedures, but we don't know what led up to that. So it might not even be it might not be an addiction to anything. It may just be something that
Mm-hmm.
is you know just it's something that just has to happen based on whatever the procedure. It's something that's situational. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it could be something like that.
in some cases, I
In
can
some
see people
cases,
Mm-hmm.
doing
in
that.
some cases, but the people that are getting addicted to it, again, I'm going to go back to you have some sort of dysfunction, some sort of body dysmorphic disorder, and that's typically what any psychologist is going to diagnose you with.
But that there's a middle.
Mm-hmm.
There's a middle in between that, though. I think that there's a middle. So you have people that do have that issue, but I think you do have everyday people who didn't plan to do something. They kind of got one thing like, oh, I kind of like that, and then I kind of like this particular tuck or whatever I did. And you know what? I think I'm gonna get this other thing done too, and then two things turn into three, three things turn into four. So I think
It's
that you do
becoming a
have people.
dysfunction though, because if you start feeling compelled to do something like that, then dysfunctions can start to develop
Well, that's what I'm
over
saying.
time
Like I don't think
as you
people
start to
start
do
with
stuff.
them. Like if you look at like you take like a little Kim, how
Yeah.
she started
Hmm.
and kind of where she ended
Mm-hmm.
up. I kind of think that she didn't have the money to do certain things, but when she had the money to start doing certain things, that thing kind of morphed into I'm gonna get so many. You know what I mean?
But you can't say that with her because, like I said, it's situational. Everyone's different,
Hmm.
and she had a lot of things going on, a lot of abuse. The men in her life were telling her, she wasn't beautiful, she wasn't pretty enough, and all these
Hmm.
things. She got her nose broken from abuse,
That's true.
so that caused her to start those surgeries. So you just never
You
know,
never know.
what's
I got my
yeah.
nose broken, but I was just lucky that it wasn't bad enough to where I needed plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you really don't know. And problem more, and
Mm-hmm.
if my nose hadn't healed the way it has,
Mm-hmm.
I might have went and got plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want a
Yeah.
permanent reminder all the time. I I'm
Well,
Right.
that's understandable because
you know what
that's
I'm
that's
saying?
kind of
Like
like I
Yeah.
guess my point is
it's
like you have people who
situational.
have stuff they have
Mm-hmm.
to get done based on an event that happened. So that I
Mm-hmm.
understand. But then it gets to the point where you look at like a Kim, it kind of looked like she had everything done. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked like she had her face, her butt, all types of stuff
Yeah.
done, and
But
it can
again, that
become a
goes to
real
Gina's point about trauma and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
a dysfunctional way of thinking
Yeah.
based on stuff that she was told and things that she has gone through,
Yeah.
trauma leads to dysfunction. I mean, that's
That's
one of
true.
the main perpetuators of dysfunctional thinking is trauma. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
That's true.
Mm-hmm.